Okay, we're going to be on page Word 8 at this time period, and you're going to be using the same document that we were originally working on in video 2 and on page Word 6. And this is going to be saving a document. And to store a document permanently, you can open it up and edit, so you can open it up and edit it in the future. You must save it as a file, because remember that right now this is saved in RAM, which means if we turn off our computer, this is probably not going to save. So what we have to do is we actually have to save it and give it what we call a file name. And then we also have to tell where the location of where that's going to be at. Generally, files created in Word 2007 are automatically assigned a suffix on there, or a file extension as we call it, called the .docx. And that just states that it's a Word 2007 or later document. If you don't see the file extension generally as part of the file name, don't worry about it, because Windows is generally not set to display those file extensions, but it is there. Generally, if you're downloading a document from the internet, you may see where it says .docx, and that means that it is a file extension for Word 2007. If you see where it says .doc, that means it's an earlier version than Office 2007, and generally you probably you can open those files up in this version of Word. However, if you have an older version of Word, something before 2007, maybe like Office 2003 or Word 2003, generally you're going to need a converter to actually be able to read the documents that comes from Word 2007 on there. So generally, if you have in doubt on who's going to be receiving or who's going to be viewing these files, it's always best to save it as a .doc, and we'll take a look on how to do that here momentarily. But generally, by default, it is a .docx, which means a Word 2007 document. Okay, now that we have this here, what we're going to do is we're going to click on this little Save button up here that's right next to the Office button. You can also press the Control or keyboard shortcut Control S. When we click on that, notice it takes us to the Save As dialog box. Anytime, the first time you save a document, the Save As dialog box opens up. Now, once you save it as the first time, whenever you click that little disc again, that's just going to save it. It's not going to bring back open this dialog box. So once we have that, instead of down here where it says File Name Memorandum, we want to change this on here, and this is step 2, to where it says Vietnam Tour Memo. And notice that down here as well, where it says Save As Type Word Document, and it has a little asterisk .docx. That tells you that that is a 2007 Word document. Now, if you were going to change this to other ones, you can actually click on this, and there's different formats that you can actually choose. And there, notice that there's a 97 to 2003 document. That's probably one of the other most common ones that you're going to be using, and that is a .doc. But you will be using at sometimes on there templates and everything else, and we'll be taking a look at those later on. Step 3 tells us that we're going to navigate to the drive and folder where we're going to store our data. Generally, you're going to save most of these things into your My Documents on there. So I'm in My Documents on there, and I'm just going to save it into this area. But remember, as we learned in the Windows section about file management, you need to make sure that you actually store this in a location of where you're going to know where it's going to be at. So I would probably suggest, if you haven't done so already, make some folders in your My Documents or on your home drives and be able to save your documents there. That way so you can easily pull those up. Step 4 tells us that we're going to click on the Save. And notice that when we click on the Save, the dialog box disappears, and the name of our file that we typed in there is actually now up here, Vietnam Tour Memo. So now that has been saved with the file name of Vietnam Tour Memo.docx, and there will show right up here the name of our file as well as the program that we're working in. Now, step 5 on there is going to tell us to place the insertion point before the 10-day in the second sentence. So notice that's on here. When we go through a 10-day, we're just going to place our insertion point right before the T in 10-day on there. And we're going to type in the word rugged. And then hit our space key. So now it's going to say a rugged 10-day walking and rafting tour. Once we have that, we're going to press our Save button. And notice when we click on our Save button that it does not bring up the Save As dialog box again. because we made a change to this memo, and whenever you click on the save button now, that's actually going to go ahead and save the document, but it's going to save it as the same file name and in the same location where we already had it saved at on there. So that completes up page 8. Once again, if you have not done so already, complete those steps to save the file and make the change onto the file. And you can move on to the next video of Windows 4, where we're going to be talking about selecting text.